This is a companion piece for the short that I just did. I have, for the longest time, listened to the whining and griping coming from the left for the last 7 years. We have now 2 non-consecutive terms of Donald Trump serving now. Because our nation isn't so much as divided, it is because we don't have the balls to actually destroy Russia and Ukraine. Both. Not take part in any proxy wars, mind you, but destroy them both. Break the will of the American people. Break the will of the West and of the East. Tell people like Joe Walsh who want to say, I respect the will of the people, to shut the hell up. Just for the love of God, shut the hell up. Shut off all your socials. Realize the world is going on without you. It's not you personally. It is people like you that don't understand. Not so much as the people's will, but what so many people love to believe, that they're smarter than everyone else, that they're better than everyone else. Onward and onward and onward. People hate that. They hate being told that they're smarter or better, and vice versa. We've got to learn to let go of our own egos. I hate that about myself personally. That I'm ego-driven, that I am self-driven. And we've got to learn to let that shit go as a country. Learn to let go of our emotions. I want to actually have a society that learns to let go of the emotions as humans and try to, I want to say, balance society between that one society of equilibrium with the Vulcan society of Star Trek, bringing about a period of logic and reason outside of just flying off the handle whenever something offends you. But we can't do that because we are human. And I understand why we are human. Because we're animals. If you want to go by to the scientific side, we are more or less monkey than we are man. We go losing our shit every single time. If you see a lot of the liberal meltdowns right now, and let's just say conservative meltdowns, deep down we are nothing more than apes. Great apes, for the most part. But we always go with it through loud, violent outbursts instead of just keeping it all in. Focus our energy on something else, something positive and constructive. But society doesn't want that. It wants to rage and rebel. It wants to punch, kick, and fight. And this goes between the left and right. It wants to fight. It wants to breathe fire and destroy. Because society demands bloodshed. It demands fire, war. Instead of just saying, I don't give a shit about that person over there. Let that fucker die. All I really want is peace before we destroy ourselves. And to just say that we should just learn to let shit go. But I know that some people don't want to do that. They want their anger. Because anger, primal scream, everything that brings out that endorphin rush. Instead of just keeping it all in, just keep it all in. But keep the mental illness part out. We have got to, as a society, escape from the 90s if we are going to fix our country. But I don't see it happening. Not unless if my generation and Gen Z were to, at least half of Gen Z and half of Gen Alpha were to suddenly up and die, and half of the millennials were to simply up and die, and that some of the more smarter ones, or at least the more anomalous ones, people who have some learning disabilities but could actually have critical thinking skills, actually survive and actually think, and maybe move on from their learning disabilities and become more critical thinkers. I want a society that bases itself on logic and reason and critical thinking, rather than emotion. I know it's hard for some people to understand, and that they don't want to understand it, because it would go against their own nature as humans. And I know it infuriates some people. It makes people want to hand wring in front of the camera. And I want there to be a point where people can start being better, talking more, understanding more, instead of just punching and kicking and going around being Antifa Black Bloc. Realize that we should stop with the revolutions and stop fighting before we truly destroy ourselves between the left and right, and we all just fight over the next pile of rubble. We must turn back our anger, our vengeance, our need to melt down as humans before we truly become nothing more than puddles of blood and fire.